He's the only guy that didn't get covered falling, walking up the stairs. The press didn't cover it, other than a couple. Internet covered it, I guess, right? But the press. Do you think they would have covered it if I fell on the Air Force One? He fell 3 times. Down goes Frazier. Remember that? Down. He kept going down and up, down and up. I said, what the hell's going on here? I was watching that. What's going on with our president?
Donald Trump is facing humiliation after humiliation lately. Elon has broken up with him. MAGA is turning on him. The people of Los Angeles are fighting back against his invasion. And to put a cherry on top of all of that, Donald Trump, after a screaming meltdown, getting onto Air Force One, just fell down and humiliated himself. It is the karma he deserves. We're going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. Goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into that humiliating moment for Donald Trump, of course, I want to check out the screaming meltdown that led to it. And for that, we need some context from reporting by CNN on the ground in Los Angeles about the war Donald Trump is trying to wage on peaceful protesters.
And I'm just going to have you sweep through. What you're looking at is we have seen this front line of soldiers from the National Guard. They are carrying sticks. They are carrying their standard issue M4 rifles. It does look like they have magazines on them, which suggests that they are carrying ammunition. Behind them in blue, who you can be forgiven, Jim, that it does look like the same blues of the LAPD. Those are officers in the Department of Homeland Security. Those yellow attached items, they look like they are preparing to deploy tear gas. And then I want you to look at the next wave, the officers standing behind DHS. There's another group of officers holding a type of weapon I can't quite decipher. They also have handguns on their side. It looks like, I can't tell if it's a handgun or a taser. And then beyond them, it's impossible for photographer Mike Love to see, but that entire black hole, I can see with my naked eye a number of soldiers. They do look like Army National Guard. They are wearing shields. They are carrying those large body shields. So we are looking at waves of law enforcement in order to deal with potentially a crowd. And on that point, I want you to turn, Mike, if you could just give us a look at this crowd. It's not a very large crowd. I've covered a lot of protests in Los Angeles, both in local news as well as here at CNN. And this is not anything resembling what I've seen in previous times where the LAPD has handled it, where we have not seen the deployment of the National Guard at this level, and certainly haven't seen the Department of Homeland Security or waves of law enforcement. This is something that I've never seen before. So what we are doing is watching to see what is happening. The tempers are flaring. But right now, we haven't seen anyone taken into custody. Though people are shouting at each other, there hasn't been any sort of physical contact.
I do not always consider myself a fan of CNN, but they are doing incredible reporting on the ground right now in Los Angeles. And the way that the reporter was describing what is clearly an armed militia with the express purpose of intimidating is just so scary. And you could tell how chilled she was as well, seeing this unnecessary weaponry, these shields, people looking like they're equipped for war, not to handle people who are peacefully protesting. And why do they need to be there in the first place besides to intimidate? But more importantly, this is the most important thing, to instigate, which is exactly what they were doing moments before Donald Trump started speaking to reporters. And I want to take a look right here.
There's outside there, and certainly no weapons that you've seen. Careful. I see them going forward. Stay safe, Kyung.
Watch out, watch out, watch out. You okay? So they're pushing everybody into the street.
We're watching live pictures here. This is from Los Angeles, outside a Metropolitan Detention Center, where over the course of the last 2 hours, we've seen the size of the federal forces there grow, not just National Guard troops, and that's our Kyung Lao right in the middle of it. I want to make sure she stays safe and her photojournalist. We've watched their number grow. That is
It is clear this is a tactic of instigation. People who refuse to take accountability because they know it's not coming, because they put their masks on, and if they break the law, they can't be identified. And if they are, Donald Trump is happy to write you a pardon if you commit violence on his behalf. That is what is happening here. Donald Trump is attacking peaceful protesters, and he knows that these protesters aren't even doing anything. He made that pretty clear with the first statement he gave to reporters. This nonsensical line right here.
Do you foresee those protests spreading to other cities, Chicago, New York, for example, in the next few days?
We're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at people, you know, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away, and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard. What are the rules of engagement?
Are you serious? They spit. We hit. First of all, I didn't even see people spitting in that clip. I just saw them standing. Oh no! The standards. The standards are going to get us. We're attacked by loitering. It's absolute nonsense. There is no justification for Donald Trump waging what is essentially, no, it's not essentially. It is a war on the people of Los Angeles for no reason for their peaceful protest. And that is why after this screaming meltdown, which we're going to check out more of because it was just such a mess, Donald Trump fell oh so beautifully for us, humiliatingly for him on his way up to Air Force One. The karma is just so delicious. It's just so delicious. This is the current state of Donald Trump's administration. He is crumbling. He is a mess. He is weak. He is feeble. And it is hilarious to watch him melt down, especially as he tries to frame himself as this all-powerful God King launching his invasion of LA. And that's essentially what he admitted he wanted to be in this clip, continuing his meltdown right here.
Given if you don't plan to invoke the Insurrection Act, do you plan to send troops to Los Angeles?
What?
Even if you're not planning to invoke the Insurrection Act, do you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
What's the bar for sending Marines?
The bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
Something happens to Marines on the table, sir. Secretary Hegseth.
We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
He is making it clear to us all, and that's the point. Donald Trump wants us to know that he views himself as God King over our military, and he'll do whatever he wants. Senator Schiff said it last night. Donald Trump wants martial law. He wants to be in charge. He says, the bar is what I say it is. Because of course it is. This is Donald Trump. He wants to be in charge of everything. He wants complete power. He wants to abuse it. It is absolutely terrifying, but we should expect nothing else. Of course, this is what's happening right now. Donald Trump is trying to shift our focus away from the Civil War. He's fighting with his boyfriend, Elon Musk. That he's fighting with Republicans in the Senate, that he's fighting with his own supporters, and Republicans in Congress right now, who some of which are standing up to Trump and calling this out because it is a disgusting attack on people peacefully protesting. MAGA claims that they're so worried about the Democrats sending the military after you. That's never happening. For us suppressing your free speech. That doesn't happen. But when Donald Trump sicks his mass thugs on people simply standing in the street, they're all in applause. It's disgusting. They can't justify it. Kristi Noem can't justify it. She was pressed and just crumbled.
So the defense secretary also tweeted last night that he put active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton on high alert. We know, since you mentioned 2020, that President Trump during those Black Lives Matter protests at the time had wanted to use active duty U.S. troops on the streets of a major city. The 82nd Airborne at the time was called up. They were not sent into the streets. What exactly do you set as Homeland Security Secretary as your benchmark for when you would counsel the President of the United States to send active duty troops in to police a domestic disturbance?
Well, my hope is always that we work with local leaders that would do their jobs, and that is what has failed in LA, is that the mayor has refused to recognize the dangerous situation that she's perpetuating, as well as the governor. When we ask for backup in a situation, LAPD has waited hours to respond, and they've waited until we have an officer in a dangerous situation until they come in and help us bring peace. Oftentimes in these cities, you have good leaders that help give backup to other law enforcement officers, but you have politicians who won't give that kind of resource when it's needed. Unfortunately, waiting several hours for LAPD to show up, or telling them telling us that they're not going to back us up until they have an officer in a dangerous situation is something that just isn't workable when you have violent protests going on. So
the U.S.
work better with us, but that's one of the reasons that you've seen the National Guard come in and help us with those security operations.
Well, the U.S. Attorney in L.A. Told CBS that LAPD did help. LAPD does not.
That's what is to me, Margaret, is hours later. They waited until we had officers in dangerous situations, then they responded. Now, if that was my city and I was the mayor, I would be sent law enforcement in there to back up other law enforcement officers. That's what America is about, is that we have rules and we have laws. If you don't like the laws, go to Congress and change them. Someone should go to Congress, say, change the laws. If we don't like what's happening in this country, do that instead of throwing rocks and throwing Molotov cocktails, and instead of attacking law enforcement officers.
Understood.
We're just not going to anymore. This president cares deeply about family members that want to live in their communities and be safe.
This is what we need out of every Democrat. We need them emphatically calling out Donald Trump's assault, and we need them emphatically calling out Republicans in Congress who refuse to say anything about it. As always, this is no shock, but good on Bernie Sanders. I appreciate it. We're going to try to bring that same Bernie energy every day. And if you want to support that doing it on this show, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you are in LA right now, if you're inside your house, if you're inside friend's house, if you're protesting, please stay safe. Our thoughts are with you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.